Hello, everyone. Mike Fuson from Excalibur Data Systems here. Have a big announcement. It's exciting. It's fun. I'm joined today by Brian Parks from Synapse Software. Brian, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
So we have hooked up with Brian and the folks at Synapse to bring a product to you. The product is called Cortex. Okay, cool. That sounds interesting. What is Cortex, right? Um, One of the things we've been working with Brian and the team at Synapse with is to really find a solution for many of our customers. So a lot, as many of you know, we for many years have implemented and worked with the Cherwell Service Management platform, and the Cherwell Service Management platform is going end of life, and we have a lot of customers asking us, okay, what do we do to access our Cherwell data? Now, many customers are moving to the Avanti platform, to the Neurons for ITSM. They may be moving to another platform. Different things are happening for different folks. But for many of our customers, there is a compliance question. They have to have access to the data as it existed within the database, for compliance and audit purposes. And so how are we going to get that once our Cherwell system is shut down? We no longer have access to the Cherwell service management software as an interface to be able to get to the data. How do we look up a change record and all the gooey goodness that was in Cherwell that went with that change record? And so Brian and the folks at Synapse have built a interface to give you the ability to view that data in a very simple way. Yes, you could throw kind of a reporting front end on it and build out a whole bunch of reporting, but that takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. And we all know that all of us are running kind of lean, and it's difficult to dedicate that amount of time. So what the team at Synapse has done is built a tool that gives you the ability to have a look into the data and to be able to get that data out for the purposes of providing it to an auditor, providing your proof or what have you, for that data. Because so many customers are like, well, we may move some of the data over, but we're not going to move it all over, or we're not going to move any of it over, or we have to have it as it was at the time that we did it. And so that presented the challenge, and we were looking at different ways. And we've known Brian and the team at Synapse for a lot of years, and they said, hey, we're working on something. And then lo and behold, it's very exciting. Brian and I will be doing some sessions kind of showing what Cortex looks like, but it brings it to the forefront, brings it to the table for those customers that are moving off of Cherwell to whatever their next IT service management platform may be, to be able to take their old database and look at the data. So Brian, tell me a little about like how it was exciting. We've seen a demo of it, so we're pretty excited about it. But like, talk to me about how did Cortex come into being?
Yeah. I've always had an interest in uh, the low code, no code space, and this Cherwell going end of life kind of presented an opportunity to play in that space. Um, and so I was really excited to provide this tool that provides a familiar interface based on just looking at the data that's in someone's database and presenting this UI to them, for, like you said, the compliance purposes, audit, archival, and then kind of taking it a step further and thinking from the perspective of accessing data for those purposes, less from the perspective of a day-to-day operations type tool like Cherwell is, and thinking, how are people actually going to want to access these individual records, as they answer questions from the compliance perspective. So we've started building new features that don't exist in Cherwell, to access that data. Basically, it's a SQL database let's give people access to the data in it.
Yeah, and it gives data access to, excuse me, it gives access to the data in it in a very, very simple, like you said, familiar way, um, and giving you the ability to, see things. And it has some. I'm going to use probably a term that's not even in the dictionary, dynamicism to it, in that it does lay bare the objects that you've created. So for the customers that have created new stuff, which so many people did for Cherwell, of course, I have to get a frog in my throat now. As so many people did in Cherwell, they were able to build their own content, their own uh, data collection mechanisms. Like you said, you're just reading back the database as it exists. So no two Cortex interfaces are going to look exactly the same. It's going to show you, hey, what's in your database, and then you can figure out what data you want to get to, be able to get that data out in a familiar way, or export it if you need to for the purposes of your auditors. All auditors work in different ways. So what we're trying to provide is ways for folks to be able to get to that data and be able to leverage it without having to jump through a lot of hoops or build a whole bunch of crazy sort of stuff. Be able to set up a tool, point it at the database, and literally it's that simple. Point the tool at the database, and now you have access to your data. And as you said, it's not for the purposes of entering new records. It's the purposes of being able to read the records that you have there. So it bridges that gap in my mind, where a lot of customers are not sure. Okay, we've got to move to a new service management platform, and they may be moving to the Avanti platform, and that's fantastic. But we've got now this old data, and Excalibur. I will tell you, we definitely shy away from doing massive data exports and imports into a new system, if for only the reason because in that new system you may reimagine your service catalog, for example, when it comes to incidents, or you may completely overhaul your change management process, and trying to shoehorn the old data in becomes a very complicated effort, and a lot of times has very minimal ROI. But this is a reason that in a lot of cases they'll move the data over. As we did in Cherwell years ago, we create an old incident business object and suck in all the old incident data from their old incident management system, so they could search it using the tools built into the interface. And that's essentially what we've done here with the Cortex product. Is we built an interface to allow you that view into the data, so you can search it and mine it and do whatever else it is you need to do with it, and be ready for whatever may come for your organization. I'm looking forward for us being able to demo this. I think it'll blow some people's minds. It's pretty cool, pretty slick stuff. What other thoughts do you have, Brian? What other things would you like to share?
Yeah, so two things come to mind. One, I wanted to double down on something you said earlier and reiterated just a minute ago, that this really is useful regardless of whether you're going to the Avanti platform or another ITSM platform. From my perspective, there's two different decisions that get made or that have to be made right now. There's the decision of what tool are you going to use for your day-to-day operation, and that's Avanti or not to Avanti, or if there's another front runner, that's great as well. And then the other decision is, what do you do with that historical data? And having this tool available, having Cortex available, really decouples those decisions, so you don't have to worry about, do I import all of this data into a separate business object or a separate database table, and what is that interface going to look like in the new tool Do I have to worry about being able to prove that this data really is the same as it was when I was using Cherwell? Because those two decisions are completely divorced. And the second thing is that just because we're announcing this tool today doesn't mean development stops on this tool today. You'll see some demos in the coming weeks. Um, I'm continuing to add features, and the primary place that those features are being driven from is the community. Um, so uh, if you see something, or if you don't see something that you would use from an archival perspective, let me know, let Mike know, let let whoever at Excalibur know, and that would go on the roadmap. And because I really do want this to be useful uh, for the archival solution. And this is really kind of a new space, right? Because most people have been going from operational tool to operational tool and kind of shoehorning the archival perspective into a tool that's intended for day-to-day operation. So this is a tool that's specifically developed for the archival, the auditing compliance purpose, and we can add whatever features would make it extremely useful from that perspective.
Excellent, excellent. Well, we're very, very excited to be able to start sharing this with all of you out there. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to your favorite consultant at Excalibur. Reach out to me at Excalibur. Hit us up on our website. Shoot us a message. You'll be happy to get with Brian and the team at Synapse and show you what Cortex brings to the table. And as Brian said, it's going to continue to evolve over time, where the features are going to get better and better based on the feedback that's received. So, Brian, thanks for joining me. It's very, very exciting to be working together again, and bringing this tool up to the market to help customers, as you said, bridge that gap and kind of know what that path is as they decide on their other path. Watch this space. We'll be getting some demos up there on Cortex, and look forward to kind of showing you the great stuff that's happening at Synapse Software with the Cortex platform. We'll see you again soon, everybody. Take care.